Good morning. On Thursday of the 6th week of Easter, the memorial of Our Lady of Fatima. During World War I, Pope Benedict XV made repeated but forlorn pleas for peace. And finally, in May of 1917, made a direct appeal to the Blessed Mother to intercede for peace in the world. Just over a week later, Our Lady began to appear at Fatima, a small village about 70 miles north of Lisbon in Portugal, to three shepherd children, Lucia dos Santos, who was age 10 at that time, and her cousins, Saints Francisco and Jacinto Marta, ages 9 and 7, the youngest of all the saints. In the spring of the previous year, 1916, these same three children had their first supernatural encounter as a means of preparing them for their meetings with the Queen of Heaven. As they were looking after their sheep one day, they saw a dazzlingly beautiful young man, seemingly made of light, who told them he was the angel of peace. He invited them to pray with him. Later in the summer, the angel again appeared to the children and encouraged them to pray and make sacrifices as a way of drawing down peace on their country. In the autumn, the children again saw the angel as they were looking after the sheep. He appeared before them holding a chalice in his hands, above which was suspended a host from which drops of blood were falling into the chalice. The angel left the chalice suspended in the air and prostrated himself before it in prayer. He taught them a prayer of Eucharistic reparation. He then gave the host to Lucia, the chalice to Francisco and Jacinta, saying, "Take and drink the body and blood of Jesus Christ, horribly outraged by ungrateful men. Repair their crimes and console your God." Then he prostrated himself again in prayer before disappearing. The children did not tell anyone about these visits of the angel, feeling an interior necessity to keep quiet about these events. Until on January 25th, 1938, a strange light filled the skies of northern Europe. It was described as particularly brilliant display of the aurora borealis, but Sister Lucia realized it was the unknown light spoken of by Mary during the July 13th, 1917 apparition. It meant punishment for the world was close, principally through the Second World War, because it had not turned back to God. A little while, and you will no longer see me, and again a little while later, and you will see me. Since Jesus spoke these words on the night on which he was betrayed, it was a little while, that is, the remaining time of that same night and that of the following day, until the hour came. The hour came when they would begin not to see him, for he was arrested on that night by the Jews, and he was crucified the next day when it was late. He was taken down from the cross and shut off from human sight within the confines of the sepulchre. And again, it was a little while until they saw him again, for he rose from the dead on the third day and appeared to them with many proofs throughout 40 days. And as to why there had to be a little while when they would not see him, and again a little while when they would see him, he added the reason, saying, "Because I am going to my Father," as if he were saying unmistakably, "After a little while, I am going to be hidden from your sight within the closed space of the grave. And again, after a little while, I am going to appear for you to look at, after the sovereignty of death has been destroyed. This is so that I may now return to the Father, since the divinely arranged plan of my taking mortality on myself has been fulfilled, together with the triumph of my resurrection." What he added by way of explanation to those inquiring of him? "Truly, truly, I say to you that you will lament and weep, but the world will rejoice. You will be sorrowful, but your sorrow will be changed to joy. fitting to their condition and to that of the entire church. Those who loved Christ lamented and wept when they saw him apprehended by his enemies, bound, led before the Sanhedrin, condemned to death, scourged, exposed as an object of derision, and finally crucified, his side pierced with a lance and buried. Those who loved the world rejoiced when they condemned to a shameful death one who was troubling for them even to look at. The disciples were sorrowful when the Lord was put to death, but when they acknowledged his resurrection, their sorrow was changed to joy. And when they saw the mighty power of his ascension, they were raised up to an even higher level of joy, praising and blessing God. But this discourse of the Lord is also appropriate to all believers who are striving to arrive at eternal joys through the tears and distresses of the present life. We rightly lament and weep and are sorrowful during the present time, since we are not yet capable of seeing him whom we love. As long as we are in our body, we recognize that we are on a journey and absent from our fatherland and kingdom. We have no doubt that we must reach our crown by labors and contests. Our sorrow will be changed to joy when, after the struggle of this present life is over, we receive the prize of everlasting life, about which it is said in the psalm, "Those who sow in tears will reap in joy." But have we turned to God yet, as Our Lady instructed? Or is World War III looming in our personal horizons? Have we turned to God yet, as the end of time approaches? And will we be ready when Jesus comes again? Our Lady promises, pray the rosary every day to obtain peace for the world and the end of the war. Could it really be that simple? We have but to try. Have a blessed and glorious week. Say a rosary for me.